Ahead of Colapinto on the grid, Lewis Hamilton in 7th, George Russell P6, Max Verstappen in 5th position, Charles Leclerc P4, and at the very front, Oscar Piastri in 3rd, Kimi Antonelli in 2nd, and Lando Norris is lining up in sprint pole position. At the back of the field, the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll will be the final car in place. Arvid Lindblad will start this one from the pit lane, and there is a gap in 12th position where Nico Hülkenberg was supposed to be before his Audi expired. On board with the championship leader, 19 years of age, Kimi Antonelli, looking to try and get the jump in the launch. It's a short run. It is coverable down there to turn number 1. Stroll makes his way to the line. Final burnout for him.
Of course, Norris knows after last year how aggressive you could be to defend as well. It was him versus Max Verstappen then.
One retirement, one in the pit lane. The remaining drivers on the grid. Number 20, and we will look to the lights for the second sprint race of the year. Here we go. We're sprinting in 5 lights time. The Miami sprint is underway. Lando Norris gets a good launch. Kimi Antonelli gets a bad one. He's been swallowed once again. It is Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Charles Leclerc, the top 3. The top two contenders in the World Championship side by side. Russell very close. Oh, and they're banging wheels. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen make their way through. They're all still pointing in the right direction. Lando Norris has the lead in a McLaren 1-2.
Yeah, and that was 3 abreast at one point. I think it was Colapinto was one side of Verstappen, Hamilton on the other. And there was definitely some contact there, but nothing, no damage, of course. But otherwise, it looks it's been a clean getaway for the others.
But another horrible getaway for Antonelli, who's tumbled down, was fighting with Russell into the first corner, which is the last thing he wanted, but he's at least stayed ahead. And here he comes back on Leclerc.
Trying to make immediate progress in the braking zone. Huge speeds on this back straight. There's Antonelli with a little bit of a lock-up and no chance to get past the Ferrari. Antonelli down from 2nd to 4th.
Yeah, that is not going to script. And he's going to have to work hard, but we know that they've had good race pace and sprint pace earlier in the year. It's actually Pierre Gasly, not Colapinto, who'd managed to get up alongside Max Verstappen. So his experience showing, because 3 into 1 corner usually ends up in someone not coming out, but got to say, mature start for all the drivers.
There was definitely a bit of carbon fibre that flicked off in that trio, but they're all still going, and no sign of a puncture yet either. Colapinto wafts behind Gasly. Antonelli's got to be careful throwing everything at Leclerc, because Russell behind is going to do everything to try and close down the championship-leading teammate he's got.
Nice move there coming out of the corner for the Cadillac of Sergio Perez, who's able to get past Carlos Sainz. Pass and repass further back. Isaac Hadjar lost 3 places. Behrman has gone up 1. Bortoleto has gone up 1. The top 8 score points. Here's the chance for Antonelli. We go on board with him. Enormous momentum before he gets to the fast sweepers in the first sector.
That's a bit of energy harvesting from the Ferrari to be vulnerable at that point. They need to do that, because out of this corner is your next big shot. This is where Antonelli had a chance on the first lap on Leclerc, who went defensive. Behind, Hamilton's cleared Verstappen after that early skirmish as well, so he's up into 6th. And the Red Bulls shuffle down to what should be a normal pecking order for them.
Is there an opportunity for the championship leader? Wafts one to the inside. Half-committed move, deep. Does that give it a chance for George Russell? Goes deep into turn 11. Now it's very, very slow, single-file stuff through 12 and 13. But Leclerc stays ahead.
He is so bad on Totoro. He moves at the braking, it's unbelievable. We've got a crash.
Well, that's more about Charles laying it down for the school teacher, isn't it? That's a message to the stewards, really, to keep an eye on him. But actually, just that battle that's going on between Kimi and George, it feels to me that George has to try and get his fingerprint on this. So this is so much more than the overall points available in the race. It's about where you are within the team.
Yeah, he's been 4 tenths away through the weekend. He's really struggled for pace, but now he's got an opportunity to actually turn the tables and get back ahead and take that bit of momentum.
Talking of momentum, it's another overtake for Sergio Perez at the hairpin, this time getting past Liam Lawson, and they were passed by Carlos Sainz, who is in P14. Sainz hangs on to it for the moment, but this is the first time we've really seen a Cadillac race in Formula One. Perez has been on the front foot all the way through when we've seen him behind the wheel this weekend, and they're actually contending, not for points, but in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, well done, Cadillac, straight away. First big raft of upgrades, and they're now able to fight as a proper Formula One team, not just turn up and gather data. So Perez Perez doing another good job. Here we go with Hamilton looking at those two Mercedes ahead. He's going to be too far back on this run to 11. Antonelli's too far back on Leclerc as well. The gap's just spreading, but Russell looking menacing.
You can just tell, can't you, when a driver's in a good place. I spoke to Checo Perez on the grid before coming up to the comm box, and he almost looked like he wanted to chat. And as you'll know, Jolene, when drivers are having a difficult weekend, you're looking at the ground. You don't want to engage with anyone, but he's kind of springing his step.
Looking for media.
Looking for media,
and say
exactly.
how good this is.
Yeah. But you are always good, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's why I was a media's favourite, I think, DC.
Lindblad did not take the start of this one. He is out along with Hulkenberg. 20 still running. At the front, Lando Norris has an advantage of 1.4 seconds over his teammate Oscar Piastri. Piastri got that down around the 1 second margin. Couldn't get underneath it, though. Doesn't have access to overtake mode that is enabled. That's more energy for deployment and a slightly better recharge. If you get access to that overtake mode, you must be within 1 second at the detection point, single detection point around this circuit.
Hamilton's close here, so this is the section in the first sector then, where we saw a little bit of harvesting from his teammate earlier on. But in the first laps, your energy depletion is a little bit more random as you start to get a bit excited, press the boost and have a go. Now it settles down more into the rhythm, and it's a bit more old school in nature, really. Everyone starts to get more in sync as Hamilton flips the Macarena wing and gets a nice bit of a speed boost.
Yeah, that's definitely working for them. Red Bull have adopted that system, and it'll be interesting to see whether that enables Verstappen to make his way forward, having dropped some places at the start. But I think what is quite interesting visually at the start of the sprint race, they've got on with it, haven't they? There's been less of what we've seen in some of the previous races where, you know, as you say, they're kind of settling, getting a feel for where they can harvest, where they can deploy. There's a real sense of urgency in this 19-lap sprint.
There's fundamentally less harvest time needed. They can do a lot more on the brakes. The cars look like they're working generally, these 2026 cars, so much better around this circuit. The drivers are all happy and able to race each other pretty hard at the moment. Leclerc just 1.6 seconds back. The other thing that we've got with the drivers happier is Hadjar has a little look to the outside of Bortoleto.
Yeah, I think he'll make that one work. Up to 10th position. Bortoleto can't come back, and Hadjar will try and clear the Alpines and get back in the points. Top 8 score in this one.
So the other thing, with the drivers being happier, they're able to lean on the cars more. They're working the tyres harder. And even in a sprint race, the heat here in Miami could mean that that's going to be an issue.
Kimi there bogging down initially. You saw he looked immediately to his mirrors. He knew as he dropped the clutch he had not got the launch that he needed, and once you bog down, it's incredibly difficult then, of course, to pick up the RPM.
Antonelli in second place, not getting the launch off the line. Watch Russell ahead under the braking zone.
So Russell's actually come cleanly past him. Antonelli then brakes later and comes back through. There's your trio behind Verstappen and Hamilton. It must have been one of them that had a little bit of carbon fibre come off, but it doesn't seem to affect either.
Yeah, so we actually, as I saw that overhead shot, it was Colapinto who was in the mix, who's going to appear on the right side of Max Verstappen. That's Lewis Hamilton on the left. Colapinto's going to come and join the party, and then he's going, oh, yeah, I'll leave you two boys to it. And that allowed Pierre Gasly to get around the outside of him.
This is on board with Lewis Hamilton. He'll drop the hand from that traditional starting procedure that he has. Traditional grip at that point. Goes the long way round. Up against Max Verstappen, vulnerable at this part of the circuit. There's the minor contact, and Verstappen stays ahead.
It's brave from Verstappen, who's taking no prisoners. His usual approach, really, and it's the same again whether it's P1 or P5.
Yeah, and crucially, was alongside at the apex, at the point of wheel banging. Otherwise, you know, the stewards tend to be a bit more relaxed first few corners, but that would be the normal policy once you go racing.
Oh, absolutely. Hard but fair. And Colapinto as well. I'm amazed that they could tussle it through two corners there and all stay in the top positions with no one breaking the car in half.
Yeah, Colapinto finding himself in the part of the racetrack that Lando Norris was in at the start of the Grand Prix last year, and if you get any push to that part of the track, your momentum is just checked and you are losing positions. That's what's dropped Colapinto currently out of the points. Hadjar trying to make the impression. Colapinto trying to come back on Pierre Gasly, but he's 2 seconds away from Gasly, who is trying to score points again. He's had great point scoring form at the start of this year. Gasly has scored in all 3 Grand Prix so far.
it sounded like Verstappen had an anti-stall on his start as well. It sounded like he went for the clutch again as he tried to get away. So maybe not an anti-stall, but a complete bog down. And he's thought, I need to put some revs into this and go again.
Yeah, I can't really take the axle is jumping up and down.
Thank you.
So that information would tell his engineer that he just doesn't have the confidence to really run the brakes hard and deep into the apex of the corner. If you have the jumping, it'll be feeling like the handbrake is being pulled on. So you can see he's just struggling to stay on the back of that slipstream with Lewis Hamilton. But the lap previous, it was encouraging to see the spread of lap times from Norris leading to Verstappen. They were separated by 1/10 of a second. So this group of McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes and the Red Bull of Max Verstappen at this stage of the sprint are all basically doing the same lap time.
It is very tight in comparison to what we've seen earlier in the year where it was Mercedes domination. This is a hugely updated Ferrari, it's a hugely updated McLaren, and they have closed the gap. So McLaren 1-2 at the moment. Piastri does not have, on the evidence so far, a chance to get that gap down. Norris with the fastest lap that we've recorded so far in this second sprint of the season, and a 2-second lead out front. Antonelli's dropped slightly back from Charles Leclerc. He was all over the back of him for the opening couple of laps. Now we have Hamilton trying to make the impression on Russell, who is the driver at the moment that Lewis Hamilton is looking at, putting pressure on his nearest rival for the championship. If it stays like this, 10-point advantage for Kimi Antonelli heading into the 4th Grand Prix of the year.
Bit of give and take at the moment between all of these. Antonelli on the back of Leclerc, then he drops back and Russell thinks about it. You can see Kimi's sliding a lot. Yeah, that's going to be doing his rear tyres no favours. Looks cool.
Yeah, look brilliant. But that's the sort of position, that last little chicane there is an opportunity to try and get as much of a gap before you're into this long back straight. DRS, of course, available. You can see Verstappen coming slightly more mid-track, almost as if he's trying to get some cooling, as here comes George Russell.
Russell to the inside of his teammate and championship rival, and he built and he built and he built, and Antonelli will try and come back immediately. The two Mercedes going side by side, disputing the positions. Antonelli tries to come back, Russell chops across, and George Russell has the position for the moment. Visor cam for Kimi Antonelli.
Nothing he can do for the next couple of corners, though, unless George is going to start harvesting a lot coming out of turn 3 here. It looks to me like Antonelli's running hot on those rear tyres, and he's not able to get any traction down. So the slide into 14 and 15, the car naturally wants to do that as you go over the crest. The problem is you then got to bring it back to the right-hand side, keep cornering, and the exit of 16 is so crucial, and he still didn't get off that corner. So he's starting to cook the rears, maybe following Leclerc for too long, too closely, but can he come back now?
Talking of battles, Max Verstappen has a chance up against Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, who was a lot closer before. Antonelli gets by. Verstappen to the inside of Lewis Hamilton. Tight into turn 11. Both off the road as they rejoin.
Yeah, he'll probably need to give that back, having gone wide, gone beyond the white line with all 4 wheels and tyres. So Hamilton, will he even bother going on the radio?
Antonelli gets past Russell, Verstappen gets past Hamilton, but they'll have a look at that battle for 6th.
So can Russell get back towards Antonelli? Verstappen will certainly have to give that back.
Max overtook me going off track.
It's 2026, but Hamilton-Verstappen is still a fight to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Max didn't give it up there. He is now.
They're waiting, they're waiting. Give the place back is the instruction. Right, there's the detection point. We go again.
Okay, so Max trying to put Lewis out of momentum to then be able to get the advantage again.
Look at the gap that they lost to the Mercedes playing those games about giving the position back. First of all, Antonelli got past Russell, and it was a late-breaking move for Max Verstappen up against Hamilton.
So it's absolutely fine the way he approaches if he stays on the track on the exit. Getting there to the apex on the inside, it's good, but he just couldn't stop the car enough, and that's why he had to give the place back, and he did so at the point where he wanted to get overtake mode by being within a second of Lewis at that point, and then have the advantage the next lap. And I don't know, I think he probably just about did it, but as you said, they lost 2.5 seconds to the Mercedes.
Yeah, look, that is allowed. That's taking pressure off Russell. He can now fully focus on trying to find a way through and past Antonelli and make it stick, because he was having to race with one eye in his mirrors prior to that.
And the Mercedes themselves have dropped 3 seconds away from Charles Leclerc in 3rd, who's closing on Oscar. So that's another battle that's hotting up, as Leclerc was a little bit more cautious early on. These rear tyres are on a knife edge over 19 laps here. We're halfway through and we're seeing drivers slide already. Kimi looked like he was struggling, has managed to find a new lease of life, getting back ahead of George. But that's the challenge. There's no incentive for anyone to push harder than they have to right now, because you might just run out of rears before the end of this sprint.
We've got great battles going on across the field. Once again, late on the brakes. Max Verstappen at the hairpin, ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Tries to get on the power as early as possible, fighting the car as it squirms around, but it's Max Verstappen up to 6th place. Verstappen up against Hamilton, Antonelli up against Russell, and it's Norris, Piastri and Leclerc, the top 3 at the moment.
I get the sense that neither Verstappen and Hamilton will be loving battling for 6, but to contradict myself, they'll be loving battling each other. And I think that the adjustments to the regulations, I think it's given us something. We knew this racetrack maybe wasn't going to be the ultimate test, but it's certainly given us a more, let's say, traditional racing, which is great to watch.
The drivers are still having to do this on the brakes, aren't they? That's what's nice to see. It's not easy drive-by on the straight passes. They're getting closer. You've got that chess game that you can play still with your energy deployment down the long straights. You can see Hamilton's used a lot, and he's very, very low on the battery. He'll recharge a bit as he comes through the brakes and through the low speed here. He's got overtake enabled, which means he can have more energy to use on a lap. None of that's changed with the regs, but just the way that the deployment is, and especially with this circuit, because you're able to recharge more, it means that drivers are getting close, but then they're having to do it on the brakes into these big stops. So this is where Max did it on the last lap on Lewis.
Lewis draining all of the energy. You can see that on the graphic, up to 210 miles per hour in the slipstream of the Red Bull ahead. But not close enough. Crucially, he still finds himself within the 1 second margin he needs to get that overtake mode and the beneficial speed that it provides. Further back in the pack, this is Esteban Ocon, and a part of his Haas making a bid for freedom.
It's off the racing line, and it'll be interesting to see if the race director feels there's any action required for that. As we see it from the onboard perspective.
Did he hit it? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. Well, that's very unlucky. From one car to the path of another, despite the fact the pack had all gone through. So unlucky stuff for Haas. It's not affected his lap times at the moment. Behrman in 12th, Ocon in 13th position. 2.8 seconds out front now, the margin for Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc can't get that Ferrari within the 1 second window, and last time around it was a 1:31.8 for Lando Norris. Great pace from the leader. It was a 1:32.2 for both Piastri and Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, Norris has been really happy with the upgrades in the McLaren. He's been confident all weekend, and now with the latter part of this sprint, I think he's starting to sense that, yes, things are looking good, and he's able to unleash a bit more of that pace, and getting towards 3 seconds on Oscar. We get Haas v Haas. Ocon having a little look on Behrman.
Yeah, that's an interesting inter-team battle, isn't it? Because Behrman has certainly had a brilliant start to the season, slightly overshadowing, I would say, Ocon within the team, a former race winner, of course. So as everyone not only focuses on their season, they've got one eye on the future.
Williams pair as well, just behind them. So it's definitely progress for Williams after a lousy start to their season. Able to fight with Haas, who are doing well. No upgrades for Haas, plenty for everyone else on the field, apart from Aston Martin and Mercedes. We know are not bringing along.
Haas versus Haas, Williams versus Williams, not for points but for pride in the inter-team battles between the two. Charles Leclerc did get under 1 second, crucially not at the right part of the racetrack. Charles Leclerc is now 1.2 seconds back in the battle for second. This is Sainz versus Albon. Albon chasing, can't get to the inside still. The Spanish driver stays ahead. Left-hand side of your screen, Lewis Hamilton, now 1.4 seconds behind Max Verstappen in the battle for P6.
Interesting, isn't it, that we've got sort of 6 effective Noah's Ark style battles going on here. The 2 McLarens tail to tail, the 2 Mercedes, 2 Alpines, the Williams that you just mentioned, and then further down, well, the Astons are still running, so progress being made there.
Yeah, the Aston Martin team trying to bring the anti-vibration fix that they ran for the first time in the Japanese Grand Prix, racing with both cars. Now, crucial point, there's 1 detection zone for overtake mode around the circuit. It's coming up now. Can Charles Leclerc get there within 1 second of Oscar Piastri ahead?
should do, and I think he was there as he comes through, so that'll give him a little bit more energy to use on this lap coming to now get closer and start to think about a launch for second place. 3 seconds the gap between the two McLarens out front, so it's going to need Lando to really fall away in these closing laps for Charles to think about passing both McLarens here. But they said yesterday, the Ferraris, they said our race pace will be better. Leclerc was still buoyant, even though he felt like he'd under-delivered in qualifying. Start was typically decent for him, and now he's got a chance to put pressure on Oscar Piastri.
Look, this gives us a little insight to what we're going to see in the Grand Prix tomorrow. They're running, of course, without pit stops on the medium in this 19-lap sprint. But worryingly for Mercedes, at this stage, they're just not matching the lap times of McLaren and Ferrari, dropping back into their own battle. And you know, we didn't have a few weeks of racing, but we certainly had a few weeks of development, and it feels like they've just, well, it's not even a feeling, it's factual that they have slipped back in the development race.
I spoke to the guys there on Thursday, and they said we haven't bought anything that you could describe as a package to this race. That's how they described it. A couple of little bits, but we know there's a raft of upgrades on the Ferrari, on the McLaren, on the Red Bull, and plenty of others. They said we've got 3 or 4 tenths in hand. Hopefully that'll be enough here. There's more coming for Montreal, so that's what they're targeting. But as you say, DC, they've fallen behind. I think they'll be astonished at how effective the McLaren and Ferrari upgrades here, because the form team that was cruising really in Japan in the hands of Antonelli out front, they are just actually dropping away from Leclerc, from Piastri and from Norris. And Antonelli, by the way, has got a black and white flag for track limits. Alex Albon was pink for track limits in qualifying yesterday, so that's in play here. He's got to be careful. That'll be a 5-second penalty if he takes another one.
Yeah, Alex Albon, all of his laps in SQ2 deleted and dropped down. Seen that happen many times. That appeal came in from Racing Bulls and upheld by the stewards. So 1.2 seconds between Leclerc and Piastri in the battle for second place. Carlos Sainz is the driver that we're on board with. Williams did have a new nose waiting in the pit lane, but neither driver has peeled into the pits.
Yeah, this
and now
stage,
Alex Albon exactly has done so at the end of that sentence.
Yeah, this must be a test item as much as anything. You know, no chance of any points, only going down across the Topi. So yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see what it brings us. Insight for qualifying later today.
Yeah, pure qualifying prep. Albon did this at the end of Japan as well. Did consecutive pit stops, just trying different settings, because they not only have a slow car, but they don't have the best handle on how to optimize that car. It's obviously a little bit quicker here, but there's still more to come from Williams. Got drivers that are hungry to be back fighting at the sharp end, and so rather than finishing 15th place, Albon pits and will try and learn something more to get closer to points contention for tomorrow's Grand Prix.
This time within a second, Charles Leclerc chasing Oscar Piastri, winner of the Miami Grand Prix. Norris 3 seconds out front as we begin another tour around the Hard Rock Stadium. This Autodrome surrounds. Sainz trying to get past Behrman. Hadjar trying to get past
but the aim remains the same. Key games, big games are coming thick and fast. There is little time to draw breath. This is the business end of the season. 5, hopefully 6 days in May. Arsenal cannot afford to slip in any of them. The Gunners have never lost in 32 home league games against the Cottagers. But avoiding defeat today is simply not enough. Adrian, Arsenal need to win, preferably win big.
Yeah, well, that would be lovely. I genuinely don't mind how we win. We just have to win. It's a huge match because we know that even though City will have 2 games in hand, to be 6 points clear puts them under a lot of pressure, and we don't want them to smell blood. So yeah, hopefully we can turn it on today. The team's been freshened up. I really like the look of the starting 11. It's a big day for Trossard. He's in need of a good performance, an impactful game. Zakatu on his return, but they'll be hungry, as will Miles Lewis-Skelly in that central midfield where I was so happy for him that he's got this chance today, and I really hope he takes it.
Quick reminder of the team, I'm sure everyone is across it. Mikel Arteta gives Miles Lewis-Skelly a first start in midfield, full stop, any competition. He was meant to start against Wigan, which you may well have read, but he didn't in the end. Ricardo Calafiori returns at left back. Bukayo Saka also starts on the right. Trossard in from the left, so 4-2-3-1. Raya in goal, Calafiori, Gabriel, Saliba and White. Rice, MLS, Holding, Trossard left, Saka right, Eze in behind Gyökeres. We think, what does Miles Lewis-Skelly bring Arsenal in midfield?
Ball carrying skills, you know, someone that can drive through the lines, break the lines with a run, make something happen. Obviously he's athletic as well, he can get around the pitch, he's young, he's fit, and he should be able to cover some miles in there alongside Declan. And look, you know, he's a decent passer, isn't he? You know, he's brave, he'll play those forward passes between the lines. So, yeah, look, that's his position. Left back it was a sort of part-time role for him, really. It's something he was learning on the job. This is the position he's been trained to perform, and I desperately hope that he shines and revels in that role here today, because if he does, he can save us a lot of money in the transfer market, and he gives Mikel Arteta a wonderful option for next season.
That's Fulham. Reid gets a first start this season in the Premier League. Robinson returns at left back, 4-2-3-1. Leno in goal. Robinson, Bassi, Anderson and Castagna the back four. Reid and Lukic as holders. Wilson, Chukwueze on the flanks. Emil Smith-Rowe in behind. Raul Jimenez as the central striker for Marco Silva's side. Jared Gillett is our matchday official. He was in charge for our win up at Newcastle and our success over Leeds on matchday 2. On VAR duty is Peter Banks. Late Saturday, tea time here in the UK. Very good day wherever you're listening from. In North London at the Emirates Stadium. We're underway. It's Arsenal versus Fulham. It is a huge game in the title race. Fulham with a big outside chance of getting European football. Technically started the weekend 2 points off the top 6, which could end up being a Champions League place. But because of the amount of sides between themselves and that particular position, it's likely they will finish mid-division. They've got some talented players, as we know. Arsenal will have to be on it. We've had a bit of a false start here because we've got a player down injured straight away. It's Harrison Reed, I think, has gone down here.
A little bit frustrating that the referee stopped that, because it's not a head injury.
Yeah.
And I don't think he even wants treatment, Harrison Reed. There's no one out from Fulham to give him treatment. So, yeah, that's an opportunity sort of lost for us. But, yeah, look, really looking forward to the game. They've lost a couple of key players, Sessegnon at left back and Sander Berger in midfield. So that's quite good news. Obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe's a threat for them at number 10, wearing 32, of course. But, yeah, really looking forward to the game. They've been defending well, Fulham, but not scoring too many. Hopefully we'll have too much for them today.
Mikel Arteta has said that I think we have enough fuel in the tank. We're playing to win the Premier League. It's exactly where we want to be. Cannot agree more. Let's see what Gabriel can do here. Really good atmosphere at the Emirates Stadium. I actually felt and thought that the fans were a little bit more relaxed heading to the ground today and just coming on the tube, walking through the fans. I don't think there's a tension. There is an awful lot of noise as Eze looks to come forwards here for Arsenal. But a touch for Bassi, and then infield for Robinson, who nearly gives the ball away. Arsenal look to win it back. This is Miles Lewis-Skelly up against Harrison Reed. Lewis-Skelly looking to play inside the penalty area, hits the heels of Calafiori, comes back out towards Trossard, looks to pull the trigger, still has it, shoots across the face of goal, goal kick, but really positive start.
Excellent, great noise inside this stadium. Wow, that was a decent effort. It starts with Lewis-Skelly, doesn't it? Holding off his man, driving, and then playing that forward pass we talked about ahead of kickoff. It comes back to him, he nods it to Trossard, and then he twists and he turns, and then left-footed, drives it just wide. It was a decent enough effort from the Belgian, but it's just got everyone going, hasn't it? Out of their seats. Good start there for Miles Lewis-Skelly.
Trossard back in the starting lineup. 5 goals in the Premier League this season for him. Calafiori with a touch. Eze looking to come forwards. Fulham aim to win it back and do so. This is Robinson, the touch forward for Chukwueze, who loses possession. They managed to win it back though. and an opportunity to potentially get forward. Sasulukic doing well initially, back out towards Robinson on this near side, the American international. Chukwueze, who's on loan from Milan, and now it's with Joachim Andersen to come forward for Fulham. To the halfway line, big diagonal looking for Chukwueze once again, who controls brilliantly. Wonderful touch from Chukwueze up against Ben White, gets to the byline, gets the ball in low, it's towards him, and as it's cleared away, that was the full ball.
Yeah, look, Chukwueze is tricky, isn't he? He's a really talented player, and he did go past Ben White there. Ball-in wasn't great, but who was there? Declan Rice. Playing that deeper role in midweek, I thought he was outstanding, and it'll be important for us there today.
Smith Rowe with a cross after the throw was taken by Robinson. Here is the American once again. 1 or 2 injury issues earlier this season, had a brilliant campaign last term, but his form has dropped a little bit, Adrian, you were suggesting.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. His second choice left back now, Robinson. Yeah, this time last year, people were talking about a move to Liverpool, didn't transpire, and he's sort of gone a little bit backwards, I guess, but he's still a talent.
He's got a bit of pace as well. That battle between himself and Saka we've enjoyed over the last few campaigns. Long from Lukic, he's cleared away by Arsenal. Smith Rowe tries to win it back. He spins for Anderson, and now he's with Bernd Leno, another Arsenal old boy in the lineup. Obviously a former Gunners keeper, 101 appearances in the Premier League for Leno. Emile Smith Rowe, not quite so many as we know. 80 in Arsenal colours, a brilliant player for Arsenal, I thought, and unfortunately hampered by injury. It might have been a little bit different for him. He might have still been playing in the red and white this afternoon.
Yeah, look, he's a very popular player, isn't he, Emile Smith Rowe? Look, shy boy, but a gifted footballer who did brilliantly for us.
No Alex Iwobi out injured at the moment. He would have been another former Gunner in the lineup.
Yeah.
One that will be missed, you suspect, from a Fulham point of view. He's had another good season.
Yeah, one of their best players. Yeah, I've got no doubt about that. So yeah, look, I'm encouraged by the way that we started this game, moving the ball around, you know, with a degree of comfort. You know, they're a good, solid outfit for them. You know, they'll work hard, they'll press us when it's on to do so. They'll keep the ball really well when they have it, but you know, they don't have as much punch as we do. They don't have the strength, probably at either end of the pitch. So let's look at Bassi. I think he's a possible weak link. In defence, maybe the right back Castagna better going forward than he is at the back. So there's a couple of areas I think we can hurt them.
Arsenal have possession. Mars-Lewis Skelly central midfield, plays it for Gyökeres, first time for White. Over the halfway line, looks for Bukayo Saka. Saka first run at Robinson here. Bukayo comes in field, still has it. Robinson tight to his man, plays a short ball for Trossard. Now it's with Mars-Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly plays it back for Rice. Rice forward for Ben White on this right-hand side. White will play it back. Now it's with Saliba once more, and eventually he's gone towards Gabriel. Gabriel, central position, straight ball for Gyökeres. Gyökeres' touch is good. Calafiori, edge of the area, still has it. Now it's with Eza. The flag is up. Not quite sure who was offside in that passage of play.
Yeah, but there clearly was someone offside. Let's have a look on the monitor, but yeah, good period. Nice little flick from Gyökeres. A couple of times already we fired a ball into him. There are some games it takes an hour for us to play a pass into Victor Gyökeres. Already early in this game we're looking to feed it into him, and he looked after the first one from Mars-Lewis Skelly, and the second one, little flick around the corner to Trossard. So he's taken a bit of confidence for his recent goal-scoring form.
Bassi looks to clear, Saka in the way. Saka who made his Premier League debut against Fulham 2019 and makes his 200th Premier League start against the Cottagers today. Just cameo performances from him recently. Maybe still feeling that injury. Obviously it's all about managing minutes. Been a lot talked about that this week in comparison to other major leagues across Europe, with the Bundesliga and Liga, and of course both having 18 teams rather than 20.
Well done, Rice.
Rice wins it back. Gyökeres has it. Trossard left-hand side. Trossard cuts back in field, still has possession. Gyökeres has peeled away to the left flank. This is Mars-Lewis Skelly, who takes a touch, and now back in field for Gabriel. Gabriel short for MLS once more. Mars-Lewis Skelly looks to drive in field. He was caught by Reed. That's going to be a free.
Yeah, he does draw a lot of fouls.
He does.
That's 2 already. It's because he holds the ball. He won't be rushed. And he's had an excellent start to the match. And what's really interesting is that the Arsenal players are giving him the ball plenty of times. There's a lot of trust in Miles Lewis Skelly here this afternoon, this evening. Like him and Gyökeres and Trossard, you know, 3 players that everyone's sort of looking at maybe. I think they've all started really sharply.
Free kick then for Arsenal, midway inside the Fulham half, left-hand side. Declan Rice standing over this one. Saliba, Gabriel edge of the Fulham penalty area. It's played short though for Ben White. White turns, plays it back towards Rice. Rice has Miles Lewis Skelly free, centre right. MLS comes forward, he's got Saka further right, up against Jimenez here. That might be a mismatch. Saka cuts inside of the Mexican.
Oh, see ya.
And then goes back towards the byline, low ball in.
Yes!
Big chance here! Gyökeres finishes from close range, and Arsenal have the early advantage. Well, Victor Gyökeres has been scoring regularly for Arsenal from the spot in midweek against Atleti, and today against Fulham from close in. It was a mismatch between Saka and Jimenez. He turned one way, went the other. Jimenez on his backside. Saka fired in low. Gyökeres on hand to stab in from just a couple of yards out. It's Arsenal 1, Fulham 0.
Well, there you go. Saka is back, and Gyökeres gets himself a proper poacher's goal. It was a really patient free kick, wasn't it? We went from side to side, all the big guns have gone up, and then Saka just twists and turns his way past the Fulham defence. Gyökeres stays on side and gets a goal from 3 yards out, centre of the goal. It's a peach of a ball, an absolutely brilliant low ball across the face of goal from Bukayo Saka. That is magical wing play from him, and it's proper centre-forward play from Victor Gyökeres to put us 1 up.
20 goals in all competitions for Victor Gyökeres. He has found some form just at the right time. 13 in the Premier League for the Swedes, and a real poacher's goal, as Adrian pointed out. Right place, right time, but there's a glut of Fulham players around him. He had to make the move while staying on side, and he did just that.
He did.
Saka deserves a lot of credit.
Oh, it's brilliant from Saka. But it was excellent from Arsenal, because initially you're thinking, why didn't you put the ball in the box? All the big guys had come up for it. But they're still there when it comes. And really the plan, I think, was to, can we isolate Saka with Jimenez? I think they saw it and thought, oh, this is better than having a dead ball. And so it proved.
Here is Saliba. Now it's with Ben White.
Yeah, forwards.
Eza tries to play it forward. Was he caught there?
He was caught, ref.
No, referee does not give the free kick Arsenal's way.
Oh, well played, Miles.
Lewis Skelly has run it back.
Well, him and Rice have both crunched into 50-50s and won them inside the first 10, 11 minutes here. That midfield unit's clicking pretty well.
It's the first time this season in the Premier League that Fulham have conceded in the opening 15 minutes.
Yes, yeah, I saw that stat ahead of kickoff. The only ones that haven't are City now. But, you know, that is really unusual for them. And how will they react? Yeah, it's not something they're used to experiencing. So, really good start from us. But the key for me is to keep pushing and to get that second one now. Let's not get that slim advantage for too long, hopefully, whereby then you start to look to protect it. Let's go out and get 2 or 3.
Last come from behind win came against Stoke in the 4th round of the FA Cup for Fulham. Have come from behind to win Premier League games this season, the last against Brighton, but that was at home and it was back in Jan. This is Arsenal at the Emirates. Given away by White, straight to Emile Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe turns into Rice and then he's caught. I think Smith-Rowe knew that was the only thing on the agenda for him, really, because he turned into trouble. Rice comes and Smith-Rowe goes down.
Clever from Smith-Rowe, but it was a poor choice from White. He could have played the forward pass to Saka. He looked at it, and for me, it's a no-brainer. Just give it to Saka. But he, for some reason, he checks back inside, plays one blind, and gives it straight to Fulham. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Let's have the positive mindset on the ball today.
There will be much positivity if Arsenal can go 6 clear. City play Monday night, of course, away at Everton. Not easy at all, and just, you know, as you mentioned, it's mentally, it's like, oh, we're back here again.
Yeah.
Having sort of, you know, done the hard yards and got you know, back level points and so on. It's one of those that you think, I've got to do it all again anyway. Let's just concentrate on
Declan, good run.
On Arsenal's job.
Keep going.
Still Rice coming forward towards Saka. This time he's got Robinson to beat. Might be a bit trickier and was because he couldn't, and he's out for a throw.
Great barnstorming run down the middle there from Rice. Terrific.
Here is Rice. Now it's with Saliba. Still playing with a bit of swagger this afternoon. Here is Gabriel. Trossard. Saliba. Clip forward to this near side. And Ben White. Now Saka shoulder to shoulder with Robinson. Trossard gets the touch. Calafiori outside him. Goes himself. Wide of the top. Don't mind that.
It's not a great shot, though, from Leandro Trossard. He had Calafiori steaming around his outside, but it's a great build-up, really nicely worked. Saka goes to Trossard, and he drags it really well wide in the end. It's a poor effort for a player of his talent, but I don't mind the fact that he wants to take on that responsibility. It's twice now he's been prepared to have a pop at goal, Leandro Trossard. And when you're not in great form, when you're looking for a bit of confidence, sometimes players shy away from that. So it's a real positive and a big tick for me that he's not shying away from it.
Ball is out of play far side. Calafiori gets ready to take this one. Throw-in for Arsenal, who are a goal to the good against Fulham here. Able to go 6 clear at the top of the Premier League table. After this, West Ham away next weekend, who are in trouble at the other end, Burnley who are down, and then Palace away, who probably, almost certainly, will be just a few days away from a Conference League final, given the fact that they won the first leg against Shakhtar on Thursday. I mean,
so the Conference League final is after the last game of the Premier. Okay, that's quite handy.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
Europa League's the midweek before. I'm not quite sure why they schedule it that way, but...
Well, they end on the big one, don't they?
Well, you would have thought it might be Conference League first, Conference, then Europa, then
exactly.
Champions League.
Yeah, Champions League's obviously the last one, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's, you know, you'd say the Europa League is the second most prestigious, but it comes up first.